Ladies and gentlemen, Season 1 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare has officially begun on all consoles, and all the free content, maps, game modes, everything has come out. But today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, because there are a ton of microtransactions within Modern Warfare, and I kind of just wanted to clear them up and talk about what is actually going to be coming throughout the rest of Season 1. So, first things first, what the hell am I talking about? So, as we talked about yesterday, I'm not going to go into too much depth with this. Today, the Battle Pass for Call of Duty Modern Warfare has come out, and you can buy that. That is in a separate video. If you want to learn about the Battle Pass, check out yesterday's video. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is the store. So if we hop over to the store here, this is where things kind of get a little bit confusing because there is so much content within this store. So the first thing you want to know is that everything you're looking at here is a bundle. So for example, the Huntsman here is a bundle where you get an operator skin, 2 different weapon blueprints, on top of that, a weapon charm, stickers, an operator equip, finishing moves, and it's going to cost you 1,800 COD points or $18. And there are a bunch of these bundles. So as you're going to see, there is featured bundles. These are going to be replaced every week. There is operators and identity, which are going to be replaced daily. And then there are simply blueprints. These are specifically for weapon blueprints, as you're seeing here, the individual blueprints popping up. Now, if you want to buy everything in the store as of right now, if you go through every single bundle, the total is going to cost you 20,000 COD points or $200 American. Now, I will say, if you spend that money, you are getting a lot of content, but hell, that is damn expensive. And to see that that is actually going to be changed every single day in some cases, or every week in the featured cases, that's a lot of money to be spending every week. Now, the good news about this is you can be very picky with it and simply go through and only pick the weapons or the character skins that you actually want, which I do think is nice. Now, on top of everything that you're seeing here today, there's also a lot of other things that are going to be added throughout the rest of Season 1, and a lot of different weapon blueprints that you are not seeing in today's store. So when I was down at Infinity Ward before Season 1 came out, that we actually got to take a look at all of these different weapon blueprints, and I thought that for the rest of this video I would show you every single weapon blueprint that is going to be coming out during Season 1. So let me know what you think of them down in the comments. Let me know what you think of the store. Let me know what you think of everything new in Season 1. But for the rest of the video, let's check out all of the different blueprints coming in Season 1. So as you're going to see by this, at least in my opinion, most of the blueprints that you actually get through the store, in my opinion, look a lot better than the ones that are in the Battle Pass. The first one we have here is the Brass Tacks. This is for the Kilo 141, and as you can see, this is a white and red camo, adding the red grip to the front of the weapon. Now, the important part to note is that all of these kind of paint jobs and camos that they add to these weapons also include some paint on some of the attachments as well. As you can see, that foregrip also has that red paint on there as well. The next one we have after this is for the FAL, and it's called the Aristocrat. Now this one is kind of more of an old school wood and metal kind of weapon. There's also a little bit of gold to accent the weapon as well. And you're going to notice that most of the blueprints that are going to be coming out in Season 1 are mainly for assault rifles and SMG. I'm guessing because those are pretty much the most used weapons in game. The next one we have here is called the Retrograde for the FAL, and this one you're going to notice painted on the side of the weapon is actually the old soldier from the cover of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, so that's why it's called Retrograde. Now on this weapon you're going to have a barrel, an optic attachment, a stock, and fast melee. Essentially the stats that are changed on this one is you're going to have higher damage and range, but you're going to aim down sights a lot slower with this weapon. Moving on to the FAMAS, this one's called the Bubble Burster, and this one kind of looks like flames on the side of the weapon, a little bit more color on this one than we've seen so far. But as far as the attachments that are added on this one, you have a barrel, a laser sight, a red dot, and finally a stock. Now with this one, you're going to have higher accuracy, but just a little bit less mobility. As far as the attachments on this one, they're actually pretty decent attachments. Now, this is where things start to get a little crazy. This one's called the Dream Killer on the Odin, and this is literally a waifu on the side of your gun, and it's a little bit further than the other ones, but you're going to notice that a lot of the attachments that are added on here are actually painted red. Once again, you can see that red foregrip on the front of the gun. Now, as far as the attachments on this one, they're really not that good. They're not going to help out the weapon too much. Essentially, the only thing that you're going to be getting out of this one is the 25 round mags and fully loaded as a perk. Honestly, not the best attachments, but I will say it looks pretty damn good. Moving on to the Murica skin, aka the Brave. This one is basically a American flag painted on the side of the weapon. I'm not American, but I have to say the skin looks pretty damn cool. Even the magazine on the weapon has some red paint on it. The underbarrel also has an American flag on it. So it doesn't actually have the best attachments on this weapon, but the attachments it does have look pretty damn good. But the main attachments you're looking at this one is your 12 gauge underbarrel, which is kind of useless. On top of that, 60 round magazines, which I don't actually mind on this weapon, and then finally a steepled grip, which is actually a really good attachment. The next blueprint is once again for the M13. This one is called the Silver Bullet. Honestly, I think this is one of the best looking blueprints there is. There's a wolf painted on the side of your weapon, and it extends onto your magazine and even onto the scope as well. Now, the scope that you're using here is a 4x scope with a bipod and fully loaded as your perk on the weapon. The attachments aren't really bad on the weapon, but I will say they do make it look really damn good. Moving on to the Scar, this one is called the Tiger's Eye, and this one kind of looks like a shiny tiger camo. As far as the attachments on this one, you're using a muzzle brake, stock, hybrid sight, and 25 round mags. Personally, I like to have a grip on this weapon. It does have a lot of recoil, so if you do get this one, I probably recommend throwing a grip on it. The next one we have is the Dingo for the AK-47. This one kind of is painted all white. It even has some white tape on certain areas of the weapon, as you're going to see. With this one, you're getting extended mags, foregrip, a sight, and stock. The problem with this one is your aim down sights time is going to be a little bit slow, but honestly, the class that they've made for it isn't too bad. Up next, the SMGs. This one's called the Dame Fortuna. This is one of the more ridiculous looking ones. It's a weapon painted pink. There's even an eye winking at you on the side of the weapon. But honestly, the class setup that they have for this one is pretty damn good. It uses the 5.56 round, has a foregrip, a stock on it, so it's going to actually be pretty damn good at long range. The only other attachment I'd use on here to make it better is a steepled grip. There's another AUG variant called the Trust Fund. This one has the hybrid scope on it, a foregrip, more money as a perk, and also a muzzle brake. Now, as far as this one goes, it's kind of like a mix between like a gold tiger and a brown tiger camo. Looks pretty decent, but definitely not one of my favorite ones. After this, we have the P90 blueprint that is called the Area 51. I actually oddly like this one. It's kind of like a blacked out P90 with just a couple of gold assets on it. You have the gold muzzle, the gold actual trigger on the weapon, and all in all, I think it looks pretty cool. The class itself isn't too great. I don't love optic attachments on the P90, but other than that, it's pretty decent. Next up, we have the Admirals Pride, which aside from sounding like a captain's boat from the 1950s, is a MP5 with some little wood and gold assets on it. I actually think this one looks pretty good for an old school looking MP5. As far as attachments on this one, I actually don't really like any of them. It's just simply going to make your range and aim worse with that ACOG scope, so really most of the attachments I'd probably end up taking off anyway. Next, we have the Infiltrator. This is for the Uzi. This one is kind of simple. It's another blacked out weapon with gold accents. As far as the attachments you're using a suppressor, stock, foregrip, hybrid scope, and really the same as before, just black with a little bit of gold on it. The next weapon we have here is the Last Warrior. This one once again has that Modern Warfare 2 soldier on the side of it, and it's kind of mixed with like a digital camo. And as far as attachments on this one, there really isn't many. You're going to be using ACOG scope, a muzzle brake, and a rear grip. Honestly, not great attachments, and you're probably just going to end up taking off most of them, but the camo does look pretty cool on it. Now, that's the majority of the weapon variants, but there is some more for the other weapons as well. Like I said, most of them are for the SMGs and ARs. This one's called the Outback for the 725, and honestly, it just pretty much looks like the normal 725, but once again, the sniper scope has a little bit of gold on there and the trigger as well. Moving to the LMGs, we've got the Buzzsaw for the SA-87, and honestly, I like the way this one looks way more than the normal weapon. Even though it really doesn't add anything too fancy, it being blacked out with the gold accents, in my opinion, makes it look a whole bunch better than the normal weapon. Moving on to the EBR-14, there's two variants for this one, and I'm not going to talk about them too much because they don't really look much different. The first one is the Eradication, and as far as this one goes, this one's kind of more like an assault rifle setup, whereas the second one is a little bit more like a sniper rifle setup. This one is called Swampweed, and like I said, it just sets it up to be used a little bit more like a sniper rifle. My favorite sniper variant that I actually didn't preview, so unfortunately I can't show you that, but this one's called the Great White. It is for the HDR, and it's actually a little bit more blue than it appears against that table, but they kind of made it look like a great white shark, I guess. Moving to the handguns, the first one we have is for the X16. This one is called the Quick Hit, and honestly, the weapon itself doesn't look too different, but it does have a bunch of different attachments on it set up and ready to go. However, one that's a little bit different than that doesn't have a lot of attachment but looks very different, is for the 1911, the Obsidian Krat. I think I'm saying that right. And this one is almost like a gold camo with an insignia on the pistol grip there. On top of that, you're only really using extended mags, laser sight, and a muzzle brake with this weapon. Another 1911 variant is called the Bite Strength, and as far as this one goes, looks very similar to the normal weapon. Really nothing too fancy about that. Once again, with a muzzle brake and a red dot sight on there, and other than that, nothing too special. Moving to the 1911, we have the Whiteout blueprint, and as far as all of the white blueprints, I find that I really like them. It really changes the way the weapon looks, going from like the black or silver, depending on the weapon, to the white. I think looks really cool, and I'm guessing that they're going to do more of this with different weapons as the game goes on. And then the final one that unfortunately I didn't preview because it looks pretty crazy is the Volatile for the 357 Magnum. This one I think is going to be more of that like shotgun type pistol that you can make out of this weapon, but unfortunately I didn't expect it, so I'm not exactly 100% sure how it looks. So ladies and gentlemen, those are all of the weapon blueprints that it looks like we're going to be seeing during Season 1. Now, there's a lot here. There are a ton of blueprints coming, and all they're going to cost a lot of money. And what I'm curious at this point is, do you guys plan on buying it? Do you like this system that they have laid out where if a good blueprint comes out, you can simply just buy that bundle for that blueprint? Is this something that's interesting to you, or is it crap? I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it. Also, as always, if you enjoyed the video, it is always appreciated if you hit that like button. And of course, if you're new to the channel and want to stay up to date on everything Modern Warfare, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have notifications on. And as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made